All three Facebook pages are on. We're just waiting on YouTube. All right. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is going to be a good one. What's going on, everybody? What's happening? Got Yvania in the house. Let me pull her up. What's happening?
Hello.
What the hell's going on? This shit's getting crazy. Isn't it? I mean, crazy in a good way. It's like, what the WTF? I mean, like, WTF? What's going on?
It's all going on.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
We're live streaming this. Yeah.
You have been putting out in the last 2 weeks the most incredible stuff. You have reached the, okay, this is late night Soulology 1, so I'm going to just be frank. You have reached the fuck it stage. And you're just putting your stuff out and you are saying, fuck it. I am getting this from the mainstream infinite intelligence. And I'm going to put it out there. And you really are. You really are. And thank you. Thank you and all your sisters.
Thank you. Incredible. I really feel the honor in receiving that from you and all of us that have been really going through this time right now of, it's like a complete reshuffle and just all the old stuff gone and moving into this new and just running with it, right? And it's been going for a while, culminating for so long. And I guess as we enter this passage now, June, I mean, this is massive. Last year was, you know, off the Richter, we had those moments where we were letting go of family and partners and, you know, and we were ringing up people. It was like we were not going to be here, you know.
Because we're not. Our presence from a year ago is not here. It's here because it's a part of us and we're learning to love all of us, but there's something else going on. Everybody's having to walk and come in every day. Every single day. And it's not an external entity. It's me.
Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you know, as we became multi-dimensional. I guess we haven't spoken for a while
God,
because
it's so good to see you. I am so sorry. I don't give a shit if everybody's watching, but you know, I gotta tell everybody a story real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I want to hear. I don't want to talk. I mean, you've got. I know because what I know about you, and because what I know I've seen you do in the last 2 or 3 weeks. You're going to do all the talking, but I got to tell you a story. So Morgan came over in 2017, and we spent 10 weeks together. The first 5 weeks I was in Morgan's boot camp, which was basically how much do you love yourself, Todd, right? And in 2018, she came over. Soulgy really got lifted. She injected her energy, the divine feminine. We're talking energy, right? She's a representation, a physical representation, and Soulgy is just a mirror of everything that's happening. And so she left, and I went to Houston. Before I went to Houston, I had submitted for my passport, and it came back, and it was denied. And so we had to deal with those energies. And I was at my friend's house in New Jersey, and I was really down. I really was. I was like, in fact, I made a video where I'm crying for like 18 minutes with snot running down my nose because the mother goddess said, "Go make a video." I said, "Like this?" And she's like, "Yes." And there was like 18,000 people on the live, and they were like, "It's okay," you know. And I'm getting all these messages, but my point is the after I did that video later that day, my friends came home from work, and I was like, you know, when you're with somebody or with a bunch of people and your soul's just hurting, like you're alone, even though you're around all these people. That's where I was, and you reached out to me the first time, and I don't know what you said, but I knew immediately that frequency. I knew that was my soul tribe. So I just wanted to say that, and I wanted to say thank you, and it's good to see you again. It really is. The rest of the show is yours.
I love where we're at. I love it. And I think what we were talking about is this multi-dimensionality, right? That we all seem to tap into as that divine feminine started coming through. And you know, I got all these tablets and sacred geometry and all these new information, and I mean stargates and all this stuff, right? And I love that multidimensionality aspect of me and us, right? Because that's where I feel most at home, and all my life I've been in that. And then the last few years, just having to really ground that other aspect of creator, I guess, the creator aspect, which is a little bit more down to earth. And so once that was embodied, which is where we are right now in June, that aspect being coming down for a lot of people and just embodying, you get into the excitement again of being multidimensional and getting to play and create with that, with all the tools, right? So I just feel before we go any further, um, just to, if we could all just take a breath and just feel into the space between these words. So if we just take a breath and just be in our heart, awake, asleep, higher dimension, lower dimension, illusion, reality, fiction, non-fiction. We just feel into the space of those. Ego, discernment. In between those is a state of isnness. And when we have these conversations, the English language has very few words to describe isness. But that isness is every individual soul's expression of the isness, right? That's what we're all expressing, the isness. So now we can, I guess after that, we can have a conversation, just keeping in mind that the words we use in our language really, they're describing one extreme or the other. And I know that there's languages, outside of English that really do have words for isness. And, it's even like namaste, greeting that isness in the other person, which is just where we're headed, is that isness and the greeting and the honor, like you shared with me at the opening. That's where we are. That's who we are. That's how we were made, created. That's how we're here. And right now, coming into this timeline, we have an incredible opportunity to witness the most incredible, it's huge, incredible event. I have to stay centered here. I get emotional.
All right.
With the dark, the timeline of that dark collapsing and coming in to the light.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like let the dark collapse without becoming the dark, without being polarized, without being hey, they're gonna hang, or that we're divine, and we're coming from a higher perspective, a higher place, a higher field.
Yeah. So what we're witnessing, that timeline of collapse, there's going to be more, and some of them will be more shocking. Okay.
Yeah.
Shocks, great shocks. And what is written in timelines, it's like the template is set. What we put in it, we can rewrite over, but it must collapse. It just has to collapse before it is re-emerged, right? It just collapsed altogether, and we don't need that anymore, creating in the now. So these timelines are going to, and we're going to go, holy crap, whether it's with what we perceive as dark, or whether it's with Earth, they are and will play out that timeline, which doesn't mean that in the other timeline that you align with, that these beings haven't aligned, that haven't come into the light, that haven't come into that alignment. So everything from this passage is going to show us all amped up about isness.
Yeah.
And this is the passageway where we go through the rites of passage, and each individual unique experience, you get like a code of conduct almost.
Yes.
When you go through the
yes.
Yeah.
Like you can't go through the Stargate or whatever until you align with that cosmic code of conduct.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it in the community. You're seeing it, And you're seeing it in male and female, me included. But it's like this old patriarchal, look at me, the control, the possession. It's imploding. It's more than imploding. It's dissolving.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting to see all this because I guess from the old human perspective, it looks like a lot of pain, but it's not. It's actually good. It's actually good. People are seeing their shit, basically.
Yeah. And we're going to see it amped up, really amped up. And if you're in it, if you go into it, it's hell, right?
Hmm.
It's absolute hell. And a
Yeah.
lot of us went through absolute hell last
Yeah.
year and the
And
year before
the only
during these.
time you're really alone is when you're in that hell that you created, right? And nobody's there because you won't let anybody be there. You're just like in this place where you're like, this is the way it is, and that's all there is to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think this time with so many that went through this passage already, it just being able to hold the frequency and just really supporting those to witness everyone's unfolding and
Yeah.
unfurling, right? Um,
Yeah.
and to be able to understand what they're going through. Whereas everyone last year was like, what the heck is going on with
Right. Like
you? And you're like,
what's wrong with you? Because I know I'm
yeah,
good. I'm enlightened. But I think one right. I think one of the what this is not like applied to an individual, but to an energy. One of the characteristics or the attributes of, yeah, I'm talking real time intel, and I'm not putting myself in that category. I'm just saying is the ability to take everything into yourself. And people are actually starting to do that. And I see comments, particularly on like Morgan's post, because she writes that kind of stuff she writes, like you do. You see them on yours. And they're saying, I know this is the way to go, and I don't know how to get there, but I'm gonna find it, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
yep. It's that moment, isn't that just that transparency, that nakedness, the vulnerability in just allowing self to be so honest, be so radically honest.
Yeah.
It's that point of surrender. I don't know. I just don't know. But I'm open, you know. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's an
Yes.
incredible place.
Yes. And then at the same time, oh, I love this thing because there's always this paradoxical thing running. There's always this parallel running. So, like what you just said, like, then there's another side of it. And the other side of it is this is my mirror. Yvania is my mirror. This is what happened. I need to say something. As the unconditional love mirror to her, right or wrong, maybe there's something I don't see, but I need to say this. I need to be direct. It's like the exhibition season before we get to the real season of telepathy. It's like we are actually forging the road to a higher telepathy. Telepathy was one thing when we came into these incarnations. We went through these physical dense experiences. They weren't like, oh, it's going to be the same when you get through the other side. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. We've been through a lot of shit. We've all been through stuff,
Yeah.
and beating around the bush and tipping on the tulips and walking on eggshells is gone. And it's kind of delicate and tender and maybe
Mm.
even a little sore for the energetic body. But this is what we owe each other. This is unconditional love.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm calling you out on your bullshit.
Yeah.
And then you might say something and go, and then I go, oh shit, I didn't see that. I'm the one that's full of shit. You know what I mean?
Yes,
This is where
absolutely.
we're at. It's raw.
Yeah, it is. And that the divine mother, you know, that creation aspect of us often is quite, you see it in nature, the mums, you know, if you're going to, don't cross the road, moving pretty quick, you know, it's like if you're out of alignment, you get a bit of a nudge.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you might get a cosmic 2x4 across your head.
Maybe not so harsh, right? But it can be, it can feel um, quite interesting. And I've noticed over the years with my own higher self, sometimes I do get a good cosmic kick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's only when over the years I've actually allowed that to come through,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Get out of the ego way. And it'll say, you're out of alignment, you know, it's off. It's,
Yeah.
I can see beautiful Jamie
Have you,
just a comment. Yeah, eating humble
did you
pie.
see
It is.
that?
I
Yeah.
love,
We
oh,
all
I
eat
love to
humble
eat humble
pie.
pie.
We all eat humble pie. If you're not eating humble pie in 2020, you will be, and it'll be a big fat
Oh, yeah.
slice, like 3 pies. Have you noticed? I know you're very sensitive. Have you noticed, like in your own field, how I want to say things are more amplified, but it's almost like a pinpoint kind of vision where you can see things like to the nth degree. And what I'm talking about is like different things that have gone on that everybody's familiar with. And we're talking about all kinds of things. We're talking about, superiority, jealousy, competitiveness, but they're like drilled down to the nth degree. Like you might do something or think something, and it's very much from the heart and what you know, but there's a little part of you that's like going, hey, hey, you still got something to learn. It's not about that person, it's about
Oh,
you.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's at a really deep level,
No,
right?
it's
Like a,
huge.
yeah.
It's, and it's almost to the point that's ridiculous. So the last few months um, have been, well, 6 months probably for me, got the heads up, you know, to create a website and get everything ready for, um, because that service role is finished. And now you really are going to step out
Yes.
into service. That was just a small role
Yes.
that you were playing. Now, here we go,
Yes.
right? So every time I've gone to do something, I just touch the computer to do something. Nope, get off.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'll do this. I'll talk about that. Nope, get off. Oh, I'm going to pick up the guitar and I'm going to write a song. What's it about? Nope. Oh, I just might play the guitar then. Nope. Well, what am I doing? Well, you can't see because you're trying to anticipate. So anticipation is just not even in the flow.
Mm.
So it's like, oh my gosh, everything that I know, I don't know. Everything I've ever believed is just gone out the door. It was bullshit, right? Even even the oldest teachings in this community. If we're going through this now in our spiritual communities, when it gets to religion, it's going to really be amped up, and that's the sort of things that are coming in
Yeah.
these shots for people on a massive scale.
Yeah.
So everything's just gone at everything that I tried to deliver. If it's got an old belief attached, forget it. It's got to come from the pure live stream of isness
Yeah.
and unity, and also using these new tools of frequency and emanation and being. Just, it's like, stop the teaching. There's no more
Yeah.
teaching.
No,
It's
there's
just
not.
being
The teaching
being the
is
frequency.
So even the things you learned through yesterday, everything that you got through yesterday, and you go to bed and you have these crazy lucid dreams, and you wake up and you drink a coffee and you're like, wait a minute, there's nothing on the chalkboard now. All the mathematic computations have been erased.
Mm.
Everything that was a given is gone. And somehow or another, you have all that. You have that Akashic with you, you know, but it's a whole new day. It's a whole
Yeah.
new day every day.
It's completely new. And so as we come into this mass awareness of this new, and it's because, you know, the divine human is completely new. The way that we were created, you know, the 50-50 mix, and the source that we come from in that flow, that source is just complete unity, complete balance. And because we're a connected universe, it draws everything in. You know, they feel it. Oh, we've got a new thing going on, you know. So all the old timelines and all the old stories, all the old stargates, all the old sacred sites, everything of the old is being collapsed because we
Yeah.
are a new thing. So there's a whole new system, and it's not touched by anything else. So we're figuring this
Yes.
out as we go. And to put anything into the creation pot,
Yeah.
it has to
Well,
be
that's
complete alignment with the source that we are, that
yeah.
flow, that mix of 50-50. And it is trippy because it's like, wow, this is kind of, one minute you're like, this is really boring, because I'm just like so neutral that you know.
Right. But
But I'm assured by well, when Merlin came, it was like, it's really not boring, this new creation, you know. And in this box of my gifts, because we've done this before, we're all already ascended. Even the ascension story, you know, is
yes,
the
it's a program at some
galactic
point.
ascension story. You know, we are ascended. Fifth dimension, I never resonated with fifth dimension. 12th dimension, straight off. That's the old story collapse, 12th dimension. And then now we go beyond. So that's where we are. That's where that this passage is moving us into that. Lots of people come into that sun, golden alignment, golden stargates, where we become our own sun.
Yeah.
You know, at this time last year, I wrote that child of the sun. And the divine masculine right now is stepping up. And when that goes into alignment, that triad just really opens up the stargates for all to see as we become our own
Yeah.
sun, start to be and emanate that beingness. I can't remember what we're talking about. Oh yeah, so
You
back to,
you
you can
yeah.
be bored, you can think, but
Yeah.
once you move through, this is a thing, 0 point and this neutrality, because it's the stepping off point for all of creation, is bringing everything into the center, pulling all the elements, everything in before it goes out into creation,
Well,
right?
you said something and it was so profound. I've got to interrupt you. Because I'm going to put it in my words, but that's how you and I roll because you're my sister. So, 1111, 5555, synchronicities, birds flying over your head at the exact time, this person, all that stuff, the stars, the planetary movements, our own memories, past life and such, they're all they've all occurred. And I know people say, oh, well, it all occurred past, present. No, they're code. This is what we were.
Yeah.
And so even when it comes to Atlantis and Lemuria, and Sirius and Pleiades and all the stuff that we are. What you were saying to me, what it spoke to me was, you know what? None of that, okay, that was to wake you up. That was to tell you you are following the cookie crumb trail home. But you wake up tomorrow, it's all gone. It can give you nothing more. And this is a space that you brought me to, was the creator space. The creator space. I mean, if you talk about made in the image, what would
Yeah.
more what would more exemplify the image of that which we were created than the fact that we are creators ourselves? And I know that sounds woo woo and new ageist, but it's not. I really mean it. To take command of what's happening right now,
Yeah.
not 5 years from now. Let's go, do this and do that. And in 5 years, we'll have this. No, it's right now.
It is.
What are you capable of doing? How, how big are your etheric balls? And really, when you get right down to it, if fear's not here, what's holding you back? This is, I think, is where we're at.
It is. And by the end of this passage, most will know that.
Yeah.
Most will know that. And because you actually go into your own stargate as the sun. You actually go in.
Yeah.
You collapse into self and you go in and you see the huge multi picture. And you can see that all our ancestors, galactic, angelic, and, even feeling intergalactic, angelic, there's still isness. It doesn't matter. But the galactics have been assisting to get us through to these
Yeah.
dimensions that they have been able to traverse, right? And now it's like, what are they going to do now? Because we haven't been this far. We don't, they don't, it's funny, okay, this sounds weird because we're all from source, but we're all source as in a flow of creation from creator and creation, mother, father, right? So our flow, our source is something new for the universe, the multiverse, the omniverse. And even though we all have parts of mother, father, creator, creation, ours is ours is so different. Like I
Yeah.
said, it like what can you do in this creation because you're so neutral. And then Melon was like, from that neutrality, that's just the stepping off point.
Yeah.
Wait until you see what you can create in this with that balance. So you've still got the sauciness that we love, because if it wasn't for some of the aspects of, like 70-30 or 100% dark or whatever, we wouldn't have all the experiences that soul
No.
loves to experience as the isness of everything. So this new mix is an incredible new place for
Yeah.
creation. And we're learning how to be the isness, how to be our source, how to be in creation, how to be creator and creation. And what do we do now? Well, this is what we're all working out together, those of
Yeah.
us that sort of have going through this. And it's the co-creation of, had some crazy conversations the last few months just in what are you bringing, what are you going to bring with you, what are you taking? And it's like, oh, that's interesting, never thought of that. The structure's all there, we're feeling it in. And even the way that our grid system works, it's so different to the other grid systems. It's so it's so fluid and um, changeable. And
Mm.
because of that source, that isness, that balance. So yeah, it's mind blowing how we're doing this in real time, live stream, live streaming it as we're collapsing the old, we're live streaming and overriding this whole new thing. So is it any wonder that we're kind of like a little bit nuts and
Yeah, right.
some days we're like,
But
oh
this
my
is a
God,
thing.
I'm so
But really, to me, this is a thing, right? Okay, so 2 points. One, we're not just zero pointing like um, compliance and rebellion, all right, or dark and light, or we're zero pointing Atlantis and whatever that polarity was, or Pleiadian and Anunnaki. We're zero pointing everything. So the information we get isn't maximized in its potential until we zero point it, meaning that it cannot leave us with a charge, because I love her. I love the consciousness of Mother Mary. But if I connect to Mother Mary, I can't bring that to the 0 point and say, hey, I got Mother Mary. Some of you don't. You know what I mean? I mean, we actually have to 0 point everything. And the reason that's important is because it puts us in that space that you're talking about. It puts us in a space where there's nothing there. You wake up, you wipe the sleep out of your eyes, and you start your day, and it's just you.
yeah,
Everything else is what you work with. Everything else is a potential external energy to work in cooperation in the spirit of transformation. I mean, this, like, you know what? I've known you for over 2 years. I could not have had this conversation with you a year and a half ago. Yeah, well, if you would have talked to me like I'm talking, and I'm not that smart, I'm not saying I am, I would have been like, what? You know, but this
and
is
maybe
where we're
some
at.
are going, what? I hope not.
Yeah, but it's the human. The human is not going to be left out. And so I look at the gods and the goddesses, just, metaphorically. I look at the gods and goddesses, us watching this creation, thinking, oh my God, they get to feel pain and emotion and anger and love and achievement and joy and bliss and all the bullshit and all the glory.
Yeah.
But
And our emotions
now, but
always
now,
being honoured
yeah, but
as
now
gifts.
they get to combine that with
Exactly.
what we know of ourselves,
Yes,
which is creating what? A more
exactly.
expansive God goddess, a more expansive universe through the grit and the grime and the dirt and the trudgery, you know
Yeah,
what I mean, of the human
yeah,
experience that we're now starting to value. And I say the more we value, not like, oh, go do this and your life's going to change, but we're going to learn to appreciate this incarnation, this realm, in a way that we never even thought of. And that
yeah.
is going to parallel our power and our growth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're right at that junction now of just really being able to appreciate this diversity and what it's culminating in co-creating
Yeah.
in new universes, that everything that we transcend and everything that our ancestors and past, present, future, whatever, transcend just to be here with us now is just our gift.
Yeah.
It is an absolute gift, and we all do it uniquely and differently based on all our ancestral soul choices, whatever. And they all just, everything is here within supporting this new thing. So you kind of don't wake up alone because you've got all the knowledge and information of everything that has gone on to get to
Yeah.
this point, like the 12th dimensional things that are being really embodied en masse through this passage. Incredible revelations that are part of the tools that took us to there. It took us
Yeah.
so far, and they're such amazing tools. They really are. And then
It's,
what we do
yeah.
with those tools, they didn't they didn't get any further than that.
Yeah.
So it's like, yay, we take all of them with us who are ready to go through this this new expansion that pushing that event horizon further than it's ever been, you know?
Yeah. And, it's like, I try to drill things down to like something I can understand that's like in one sentence instead of like, a bunch of paragraphs. So to me, and I've been saying this to myself, not to apply to anybody else for like 5 or 6 years, to myself, the universe is my twin flame. The universe is my perfect mirror. Everything I'm looking at is me, and it's talking to me like all the time, every moment, every second, right? But the universe, like the like that other half of you, is going to do everything it has to do for you to reach the highest potential of love for yourself. And that's not fluffy love and light shit. That's like, it's real, and it's not always nice, or it doesn't always feel good. Let's put it that way. And I think we're going to keep getting pushed back and put back, quarantine or whatever the circumstances, into ourself. And you've done it. I've known you. I mean, you've done it many times, right? A lot of people have done it, to go into that solitude and cut the BS and get right down to it. And it seems so mundane and so tedious that we have to go to this ultra human level and deal with this stuff that we just like, you know what? I'm going to get past that. We're not going to get past anything. And every time we have the balls to face how we were victimized or when we were the victimizer, most importantly, when we were unconscious and stupid and oblivious to it, this universe expands and we expand dramatically.
Absolutely. And may I add to that I feel that as I've allowed to expand and open into self, that the unconscious part, we always know every divine human is heart-centered.
Yeah.
All that's happened is that the outside has just sort of reflected that it's okay to get away with being out of heart-centeredness. But there's that stillness inside every heart-centered human that knows that's out of alignment with who I actually am. And that's why it hurts. It hurts. It hurts in a way that even some of our ancestral lines don't even understand. Those emotions and the way it hurts us are very deep. It's like it hurts your soul, those moments. It's not like, this doesn't just hurt my heart. This hurts my soul because it's so out of alignment with the source that I am, and then you just talk yourself into, oh no, it's okay because so-and-so down the road does that. And
the soul's not letting us do that anymore.
No.
It's not letting us do that anymore. We're not going to hurt our soul anymore. And people like you and these crazy decisions and lifestyle choices and these lifestyles that people have adopted over the last few years, these stories that they're creating based on this guidance they're receiving, the same guidance that when they told people about it, everybody said they were crazy and they need to go to the psych ward.
Yeah.
But there's enough of a strong minority at a minimum. I don't know. I can't see the field that well, but it's starting to take on a physicality. It's starting to be visible, and it's starting to show evidence, even to the human aspect.
Yeah.
And I think this is what's happening, with this whatever's going on with the feminine right now. And I don't mean feminine like women. I mean, not that I don't, but I just mean like the collective feminine energy. What was missing? What was suppressed or flushed out by this false patriarchal. It's come back. In this month, it's come back. And it's like, it wouldn't matter what you do. Drop a nuclear bomb, have a war, do this, do that. It wouldn't even matter. We're talking about a non-physical, the unseen hand of providence that is, it's not going to be stopped. Somebody turned on the faucet, and all she's going to do is come out with more force. And I think, to your point earlier, the masculine is going to step right in. That energy is going to step right in. And I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be this doomsday, doom and gloom. It's not about that. It's about something so far out there that none of us can even imagine, not even come close, because the two energies coming together, creating that third energy that has a mind of its own. This is what you're talking about. This thing that is anchored into the earth now, and it's just like, that's a real virus.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real virus.
Yeah. And it's funny because forgiveness is something we've been taught that we don't need, because in truth the heart doesn't need to forgive. But there's an energy of forgiveness, and it's like this molecular structure that is really going to come into play, because it's been missing, and it's a different energy of forgiveness than we've experienced before. And it's really just, it's like the sun rising right now. It's been coming up for a while, and soon it's going to be right here as that's right there, and it'll be this beautiful moment in merging. The divine masculine stepping up right now is so perfect for what's going on the distorted feminine side, because the divine masculine doesn't do the bullshit of the gossiping and the bitchiness and the attacking. They just don't get it. Like, what? And you can often see that as women, if you want to bitch about something, men will just, they won't give you the time of the day. They're not interested in hearing it, right? So you have to find other women that are bitchy to bitch with.
Yeah.
So
if you look for it, you'll find it, man or woman. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's such a perfect time for the divine masculine coming up right now as that divine feminine rose, and just meeting, and right at the perfect time. Just everything is such perfect time. And if we can just get through this passage, just if we imagined ourselves in our own little sun, just observing the earth and that timeline, just observing. And if you want to orbit and have a better look, have a better look. Don't jump down unless you really have to. And if you do jump down there's a thing that goes around that you can drop in frequency. And actually, when you are your own sun, and you know who you are, it's impossible to dip in frequency. So if you do have to go down there's no fear of dipping in, but it's like you have to allow it to collapse. And sometimes you are part of that collapse. So everybody that's contributing to the collapse that has to happen, thank you. Right?
Yeah.
It's part of that timeline collapse. It really is. So there'll be people going down into that and coming back up, and still shining the sun, just being it, because we know we have to observe these collapses. Just try not to get into that judgmental game, because this all has to collapse, and just, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging, but we've done it and we do it, right? And we're right on the cusp. And this timeline merging, it's like the rings of the time have compressed and expanded. I know that sounds weird, but
no, it's true.
It's actually, it's gone so quick that the merging of three really great timelines into one is right here in our grasp. If we can just get through this passage with ease and grace and stay in the isness, you know?
So it's like, to me, I love talking to you, but like I said, because you're like a catalyst. We are together. I don't know what it is, but so one of the problems I always had with the Far Eastern uh, religions or practices or disciplines was, you know, everything was created at the same time, and I get that, and it's all kind of predestined. Like there's nothing to worry about. Don't get super excited. Live in a cave, and I'm not taking shots at anybody. I'm just being an asshole, which means I can't take that part of me in the 5D. But what I'm saying is that there is a level of predetermination or predestination, at least a template.
Yeah.
We're actually going into a space that's pure creation through the chaos into the womb, where we can actually create things that have never been created before. And I don't mean events, I mean frequencies or combinations of frequencies, vibrations. And I think this is where we're at. It's like a total opposite of what we thought was reality, or even if we stepped up a little bit and said, oh, okay, I know I'm up here, but this is what's happening. I got a foot in both worlds. No, we're actually going to anchor this thing into the densest, most physical thing, and be able to have the potential to and the availability to actually create uh, like the gods and goddesses we are. And again, that's not a cliche or fluffy love and light stuff or new age. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
And
And
and all it's going
that's
to take
boom.
is the first person to do
Yeah.
it. Right? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
That was a boom moment. Exactly. So the being able, the earth is a sun. It might sound strange, but the earth is the perfect mirror. And it, or if you like, has become the source as we
Mm,
have.
mm,
Being right in the middle, center of self. And so I gave the analogy of looking down so that we could just step out of judgment. But when you can be in the middle as the sun and just be,
mm.
that's where it's at.
Yeah.
That's why we always talk about being calm amidst the storm, calm amidst the
Mm,
chaos. And right now I've also noticed that, the dipping in frequency lesson,
yeah.
the up and down, really coming in to fine tune that right at the right time,
Yeah.
being able to just stay as that sun beaming and emitting what you are without getting knocked out and back and forth. So that is holding huge space for this
Yeah.
potential of these timelines. We
And
become,
yeah, and like how does that translate into the human experience? It's kind of like keep your nose out. It's like you know, so if I'm a sun and I generate all this radiance, there's nothing really that can affect me within the span of my perspective, within from my vantage point, other than what I might create within myself. You know what I mean? So it's like, how does that translate into the human experience?
it's all
Uh,
new, and we don't even need mirrors anymore as suns. We're just expansive, beaming, emitting what we are. The brightest star just is, it just shines, emits. All of this is new, all of it. And it just becomes that you look upon others as I'll use this analogy. I've got this little thing that, not little thing, this thing that I've had since I was little, and it's this universe I've created, and I've got my own little planet. And um, as I look out sitting on the beach, I've got two dolphins and I live in like a diamond cave, and as I look at the horizon and the sky, I see other planets, and they appeared to me when I was little with like a little head icon. It's funny because now with social media, we have these icons, right? But these icons appear in my horizon or my sunset as planets. And I'm like, wow, you know, what goes on in your planet, your universe? Show me your universe. Let's experience, I haven't created that. I don't know what it is, but what are you? Who are you? How do you express your isness? And then some will orbit in and it'll be like, oh wow, that's really interesting. There's no judgment. There's like, oh, if it's not in alignment with your orbit, you just orbit out, and it's just an isness once again. So taking it back to the analogy of the sun and just emanating, I mean, that's what we're doing. So there's this interconnectedness with this beautiful soul individual expression of isness. It's a whole new oneness as well, because there's so many. That word one is so expansive,
Yeah.
hugely expansive.
Yeah.
And it's the connectedness in the oneness,
I mean,
in the isness.
yeah, if you think of all the words in the human dictionaries, one is probably that's it. That's as close as you can get, and it's not coming close. But I mean, it pretty much says it all. And that's what I was getting at earlier, because at the human level, how does that extrapolate to the human level, right? Like, how does
Yeah.
that down? Well, I don't want to say downward, but drilling down to the more denser realm. How does that look? What does that look like? And I think a big part of it now, especially with what's happened over the last 2 or 3 months, has been we talk about listening to other people, but I think people are starting to listen to themselves.
Yeah.
Those little things that come in, you're like, oh, forget you. I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to go do that, or I'm going to project it on this. That's actually, not going away. Like the collective soul, like as a copy of so many people on an individual level, like you would know this, when that soul woke up, when that moment happened and it stirred, and you kind of did something that kind of like shocked you, like, why did I do that? Like, why am I quitting my job? Why am I leaving this relationship? And
Yeah.
there was a part of you, and that part will not die. And I think that's what's been ignited collectively, is like, we're not going back.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, we passed that point. We really did pass that point. And not only passed the point, but just blew the gates wide open.
Yes, I agree.
And it's because every one of us that has been brave and courageous and honest and just radical faith in themselves and knowing who
Yeah.
they are, that's just gone, F this.
Yeah.
I want to be free. I want to be
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And that free in me is nothing like it was. And, just to have the guts to do that,
Yeah.
like, yay for everybody who's been doing this stuff.
And
Because
that's yeah,
it's
and
just,
that's yeah, and so that happens with ourselves as we face the world. And now that we're
we go out there and share
like,
that.
yeah, but like we're translating our internal transformation into our external experience.
Yeah,
So now
absolutely.
you have these situations where people, rightfully so, have to speak their piece. They have to say, because it is unconditional love. It's
Yeah.
unconditional love for themselves. It's unconditional love for their brother or sister. And the other side of that is this other part that's kind of fading away, which is, I can't be wrong.
Yeah.
This false and bless them, bless them. I mean,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
they're both good signs. I guess is what I'm saying. They're
Yes.
both leading to the same place. They both have
Yeah.
to play out. Yeah.
Yeah. And like we were saying before, the timeline that exists, or the frequency that exists, the other parallel soul experience, whatever, is already moved, you know, past, present, future, all at one. So what you're witnessing in another soul right in that moment that you're looking at from your perspective might be completely different to where they actually are in their
Absolutely.
multidimensionality, right?
Yeah.
So as we're really learning to view each other and greet from the namaste, the highest self in body. And when you see the highest self in each other, the isness is just allowed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think
Because
that.
if you can't see where they are multidimensionality, then at least honor that they are a multidimensional being.
Yeah. I think that's another part that as you drill it down into the human part of us is I've seen a lot of people expressing or implying or alluding that, there's always been they're not awake and they don't understand me and this and that, but it's, or they're doing this and it hurts my heart, that they have this lifestyle or they're going down this path of sabotage or destruction. But it's like you see a lot of expressions or energy from the human aspect going, that's their journey. I'm going to let go of that, which actually is empowering the person who's letting it go, because that's a
Yeah.
part of them that they haven't had, focused on themselves.
And the other person too, it
Yeah.
sets them free so that
Yes.
they can be free to express
Yes.
that isness
Let
that they're
everybody. Yeah.
wanting to express, like, holy crap, I can't wait for our next conversation. Maybe, the potential exists where we won't even have to talk about it. It's
That's what
just
I'm saying. I've been
it's an
saying that for the
honor.
last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This show's going to become
It's
everything,
going to
but
be.
this ain't going to be any verbalization at all. It's going to be what I honestly think and believe, and I'm working towards that there will be there will be broadcast or streams running. I think I'll be a part of it, to be honest with you, that have no words.
Yeah, it's
If
a
you can
whole new
imagine,
way of broadcasting.
yeah, like the way when I usually open the show with you, and I didn't because I was all messed up with the tech, but with your song, that song was made in one take. It was
Mm.
written right away. You hadn't played in 3 or 4 years. Now, if you take the words out and you feel the frequency and the imagery of it all, that's a great example. This is where we're headed. We're not
Yeah,
going to have to say anything to each other.
no,
We're actually engaging at a psychic level. And I think this happened. In fact, I know I did because I've downloaded it. And this is my own truth in Atlantis. And I'm sure in other places. But
yeah.
we were invading the space of other people with that power. And I think
Mm.
now we're not just conscious creators, but we're responsible conscious creators that value and revere and honor anything outside of us because it is us. And because of that, you've got two wide open, vulnerable, powerful energies or more. And I have no idea what that's going to create, but I don't think anybody has any idea what it is. There's no
Yeah,
way.
it's interesting just the way that everything's been for me about broadcasting, um, and emanating this energy, and just having a look at what's coming in through this passage as well was when the rings of Saturn went into their transformation and changed the way they broadcast. So I think that's in July or August, but once again, we could move to that now, and it's probably
Yeah.
um,
I
already
don't, yeah.
here,
I
right?
don't think the stars are running us anymore. I think we're running the stars.
Well, exactly, but there's
Yeah.
still that template as it collapses.
No,
So
no, I get that. I get
and
that.
everything sort of moves into frequency. But it's funny you should say about the stars, because when Merlin came to me um, last week or the week before, whatever, he actually bless. Oh yeah, awesome.
He's here now.
Yeah,
Look at that.
he is.
Sherilyn painted
Oh,
this. Isn't that amazing?
yeah.
Merlin is the shit dizzle, man.
Isn't he what? He's
Oh
my
my
ship
God.
above the
He
peninsula. But
is
he
like,
actually collapsed all the stars too when he came. You
hmm,
know, everything went into this vortex. And the tortured souls and all this, you know, they put out that video that no one wants to watch because I've titled it that tortured child and tortured souls and just we went into this collapse of all these timelines and the stars, they all went, and when we emerged out into the new creation, there were no stars.
yeah.
It was funny. So that you've been mentioning that, because it's just
Well, it's
exactly
always
how it
intrigued
was.
me. It's always intrigued me. Like, I remember one time Mars came out and Morgan and I had just had that divine union ceremony, and she went back to Australia and I was in Houston. And I kept walking outside and Mars, and I didn't know the stars, and it kept looking at me, like following me. And I said, Morgan, there's this bright star out there, Mars. She says, it's like the universal brown eye. The universe is giving you a brown eye. But there was some truth to that for some reason.
Yeah,
It was like you're being a cocky SOB, and the universe is giving you a brown eye.
yeah, it's been such a perfect reflection, everything of
Yeah.
where we've been, and just taking, even just working out whether, because I know a lot of the astrology is actually moved in frequency, you
Yeah.
know, and moved position and all that kind of thing. So there's there's no off the table that's not in the new, that's not even,
Yeah.
so everything is open for
Yeah.
the round table.
Everything's being transformed and altered. Everything is
Yeah,
matching everything overall, and that includes the things that we thought were fixed. Yeah.
yeah,
This is wow.
yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. We God, how's your mom?
She's good. Yeah.
We have to get her back
She's
on.
been doing it. She's been doing it a little bit tough,
Has she really?
going through what we're all,
Really?
she goes through all of this too, and dealing with
Mm,
um, her own stuff that we're going through. But,
yeah.
it's we've been having beautiful, open conversations, heart opening conversations, really expanding further than we've been with each other. And I said to her, I understand how difficult this is for you from a human perspective. And I don't even like the word human perspective, but
Wait,
from
who's
her,
saying that? You or her?
I'm saying to her, I
Okay,
understand how
okay, okay,
difficult this is, because
okay.
she's in her late 70s.
Yeah,
And this stuff, these these beliefs are really ingrained.
of
And
course.
so
Yeah.
the just just that what I was delivering to her, that with the frequency, she said, I can feel the infinite possibilities, because
Yeah.
that's the frequency that's here. There's no barriers, there's no anything that's not possible. And it's like 100% I know this, right? And it's so exciting. Just don't know what to do with it, because I'm like, what am I allowed to do? Right. So we're working this all out. But she's like, yeah, it is difficult. So there's that honoring of everyone's ability to open and expand their beliefs and to be able to let go, because that's a long time to be
Yeah. Yeah.
conditioned like our
Yeah. Yeah.
ancestors were, but
Yeah.
the it's always been something, that she probably talked about and did 60, 50, 60 years ago. People were talking about this, and that always frustrates her. We brought this in way back when.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I know, and thank you for
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys that did that. And now we've taken the ball and it's now, we've all come into now. This is not in 100 years' time. This is not,
No.
and I
No.
know
It's
some people do, but this is it. We're here,
yeah.
and it's actually happening right now. And so we have these conversations, she's like, okay. And then she'll get really expansive, and you'll watch just the beliefs that circle around, you know?
Yeah. Well, that, you know, I mean, those folks, you know, we're talking, you know, a little bit older than her, but like the depression and World War II and
Yeah.
industrialization and,
Mm,
you know, subdivisions, you know, the whole conveyor belt, you know.
yeah.
So that's some deep stuff. And the fact that she's actually got that much openness is pretty remarkable, because most people that age are not going to have that. And and they were the
Mm.
first waivers. They were
Oh,
the first
yeah.
waivers. They had to go
Oh, yeah.
in and take the, you know, take the pounding. So,
Absolutely. And they
but
did cut people off, you know, they really did on mass things. If you talk to them, people just, you know, it was not a nice time to be
no,
in the first
no.
wave. It wasn't a nice time
And
to
then,
be
and then to wake up,
society.
and then to wake up and find out you were unconscious at those times and what consent that you gave and fell into. I mean, that's some major stuff we haven't had to deal with. So when you see her, if you would, please give her a third eye kiss from me and tell her I would love to spend some time with you and her. And regardless, I'd love to hook up with you again. We're going to be on the road next week and get settled 1st of June. We might have a 10-day period where we're not broadcasting. I'm going to do everything I can. And so is Morgan, so we can keep broadcasting. But yeah, let's get together next month, with or without your mom. And, but tell her I said hi, and
I will.
tell her I said thank you for all the work she's done and those like her. And
Yeah.
that goes for you too, because this is what's happening.
Yeah.
The women like you are stepping up. They're gaining more power, gaining more strength. They're putting up websites. They're putting up videos. They're stepping out. And this is what we need. We can't go forth until that sisterhood unity is complete, holy and whole, and it's happening. And it's not going to be like 6 months or a year or 2 years when the masculine energy comes into that circle. It's going to be right away. So keep going. And thank you, Yvania. I love you. You're my sister. I love your mother. I love everything about you. And thank you for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone else, and so much love.
You're very welcome. I'll see you next month.
See you then.
Until you come to the U.S. By the way, there's going to be something
Yay.
going on in August or September. You might want to come.
Awesome.
We have Sherwin Nig coming on. Very powerful dude. He's coming on in 42 minutes. So if anybody that's up, you might want to come by and check it out.